Hi, fasters. Welcome to this episode of Old, Fat, and Fasting. I'm Lori, and that's my sister Krista. We're old, we're fat, and we're fasting, and we both fast for weight loss and for health.
Today, we're going to talk about how people tend to make fasting too complicated when they first start, and it really is not complicated. So you should do your research. You should read and watch videos and listen to Old, Fat, and Fasting and all those things to learn how to do it. But when you start, just keep it simple. So at its heart, all fasting is not eating, right? So even when you're asleep, you're fasting. You fast for, if you're lucky enough to get 8 hours of sleep every night, you fast for 8 hours every single day.
Yeah, hence the first meal of the day being called breakfast, break fast.
Exactly. Whatever the first thing is you eat after you wake up is your breakfast, right? So all fasting is going without food for a certain amount of time. So you already do it 8 hours a day. You just sleep through it, right? So one thing that we would suggest when you want to start fasting, I think it's easiest if you kind of ease into it. Yep. So this is not what Lori did. Again, this is one of those things, everybody has their own way of doing it, right? Yes. And if it works for you, then it's the right way for you. But in general, I would say for most people, it's easiest if, I think, just start with like a 12-hour fast. So, and the way that you can do that is you already have that 8 hours you didn't eat while you were sleeping. Tell yourself you're not going to eat for 2 hours after you get up, and you're not going to eat for 2 hours before you go to bed. There's 12 hours. And this is exactly what I started with when I started again a few months ago, because literally I would eat. First thing I would do when I got up was eat. And the last thing I would do before I closed my eyes at night was eat something. So that is what I did, is I made a rule. I wasn't going to eat for 2 hours before bed, and I wasn't going to eat for 2 hours after I woke up. And for me, the bigger challenge was the nighttime, because I'm generally not that hungry when I wake up anyway. So waiting a couple of hours wasn't that big of a deal, but not eating at night, that was a struggle for me for a while.
That's what was hard for Steve and I too. And Krista said a minute ago that we both started fasting differently. We jumped right into 72-hour fast right away, but it was different for us because we aren't breakfast eaters and we really aren't lunch eaters. So we were naturally doing OMAD, just not making smart choices with it. But we were doing OMAD with not healthy meals, and then we get in bed and we watch TV and we would eat. So that's why she was saying you have to find what works for you, because that's what was natural for us.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting too, because OMAD is still what you generally do.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yep.
Yeah. So like the first thing that Lori tried, well, after the 72-hour thing, what was most natural for her was to just do dinner every day, because that's what she was already naturally doing, except for the nighttime snack. So your first step was basically to cut out that nighttime snacking.
Right. And change what we were eating at dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, so I feel like that 12 hours is a fairly easy, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not easy to train yourself not to eat.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty easy first step.
Yeah. Well, and Mom, I think we talked in another video that she has started fasting for health, and she cut out lunch. So she fasts from breakfast to dinner and then dinner to breakfast. So she's, that's what's working for her. So that might be another option you all want to try.
Right. And speaking of cutting out snacks, one good thing to do also before you start your first fast is to do a kitchen purge. So get rid of the chips on top of the fridge and the Oreos in the cabinet and the ice cream in the freezer and
any Oreos you might have hidden under your bathroom sink from your children.
or the peanut butter with honey in the kitchen, because it will make it much simpler. You know, one of the things that you should focus on too is when you do eat, to make healthier choices. Whether you're fasting for health or for weight loss, you will have better results if you're making healthy choices.
Low carb it, people.
Yeah. So minimize your carbs, get rid of the junk food.
Added sugar.
Yeah. And if you're doing the 12-hour thing, so you're eating breakfast later, and if you're eating a later breakfast, you might only eat 2 meals that day, right? Because it'll be a sort of brunch.
Like mom's doing, yeah.
Right. So, and in between those 2 meals, don't snack. And that will be much easier if you've gotten rid of the unhealthy stuff you tend to snack on.
If you snack, Krista, what do you snack on? We do pork rinds. What do you do? There's no carbs in pork rinds. Just watch the salt.
That kind of stuff is dangerous for me. And this has been a little bit of a learning process for me. So yes, I do like the pork rinds, but I can sit down and eat an entire bag of them, which isn't a good idea. And I've also learned that anything that tastes sweet, so even like something with cream cheese, I can easily overdo it on because it has that sweet taste, even though it's not sugar.
Yeah.
You know,
I get you. I could eat cream cheese with a spoon.
Exactly. So I tend, when I snack, I snack like on rotisserie chicken or chicken salad, or I try not to even do that much fruit. And I know some of them are okay, but it's another one of those things that, I don't know, there's something about that sweet taste that, and not only can I overdo it on those things, it's like if I eat something with cream cheese and it's got that sweet taste, then I want something unhealthy that's sweet. It's like it triggers my craving.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of been a learning process but I love chicken.
Yep.
I love soup. I love chicken salad. So I tend to snack on that kind of stuff.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I know that. I mean, I get a sweet craving every once in a while. And I've told you before, I'll eat like a tablespoon of raisins. They're really high in carbs, but I keep them on hand because I like them in a salad, but I just do a tablespoon in a salad. But that's what I do for my sweet tooth. But what I miss in watching what I eat is chips. I loved potato chips. So that's why we do pork rinds, and we like the barbecue, but they're high in salt.
Yeah.
So we don't do too much of those. But
yeah, and you mentioned the raisins. Something I actually discovered recently, and I just ran out yesterday, that I really like is dried cherries. They're a little bit tart and a little bit sweet. And I figure you're giving me that look.
No, I was waiting for you to finish talking because I'm a big interrupter. So I was going to ask you the carb count on that.
Well, I figured it was similar to raisins. It's a dried fruit.
You'll have
I
to.
like dried cranberries too.
Yeah, I like dried cranberries too. I like raisins more, but I'm wondering if I'm going to look and see, and I'll pop it up here, what the carb count is for like a tablespoon of raisins, a tablespoon of craisins, and a tablespoon of dried cherries. Because if one of them is lower, if something is lower, I will substitute those in the salad. Because a tablespoon of raisins, which is what I put in our salad, it's like 7.7 carbs in a tablespoon, right?
Oh, wow.
I know.
Wow.
Eyebrows up so high to go to the back of my head. I'm like, how is that possible?
Wow.
But and I don't pack them in there. So maybe 7.7 is if you firmly pack the raisins into the tablespoon. But they make all the difference in a salad. So
yeah. And well, I bought the cherries. They're dried tart cherries, and I don't remember what it is, but there's something in dried tart cherries that's really good for aging. And I
I'm not
forget what
doing
it
that.
is.
I'm not aging.
I know sometimes I say my kids are getting older, but I'm not.
Yep.
And it's not the getting older part I'm on, right? It's because in many ways, my life is the best it's ever been right now. But it's the body aging part that I don't like. I don't mind the getting older in itself, but I don't like the
aches and
physical
pains that
stuff
come
that
with
comes
it.
with it. Yeah. So,
Yep.
yeah. So Lori and I talk sometimes about building your fasting muscles, right?
Ooh.
And what we mean by that is like when you work out, you start light. You start with, in my case, probably 5 pounds. Because if I did 20, I would be in pain for days, and gradually work up, right?
Yep.
So you build those physically muscles. So build your fasting muscles too. Start out with something simple that's easy for you to do, easy for you to stick to, whatever that looks like for you. And then do a little more, and then do a little more. And don't be so concerned with all the rules and all the stuff in the beginning. Just don't eat. I mean, it's really the root of it. Fasting really is that simple. You just don't eat for a certain amount of time.
Yeah. And you're going to read a lot of books. You're going to read a lot of magazines. You're going to watch a lot of videos. but basically it comes down to 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Don't eat and eat healthy.
Right. Yeah.
So
if you do those 2 things, you're great.
yay.
So yeah.
And we think you're great. And another part of your training, since you're building your fasting muscle, is, it sounds so stupid, but if you're not hungry, don't eat. We all grew up going, it's breakfast time, I have to eat. It's lunchtime, I have to eat. It's dinner time, I have to eat. Even if you're not hungry.
Yeah.
If you are hungry, do not eat. And Krista and I have both done this many times with fasting, and so has Steve.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my 24-hour fast is over. I'm going to eat. No, I'm not hungry, so I'm not going to eat.
Yeah.
And so just don't. We do OMAD, and we have it set to where we eat dinner at 7 o'clock, but sometimes we're not hungry until 8 o'clock. So that's when we eat. So just stick to that. And that's a huge rule.
Yeah.
I'm not hungry. Well, don't eat.
Yeah.
And another big thing is, we have these prep salads that I keep in the refrigerator. And the other night, I didn't finish the salad because I got comfortably full. So you do not eat until you're stuffed. Do not eat until you're full. Just eat until you're comfortable and call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. So much of fasting is, one, I think, mental, which we'll talk about a lot more at some point. And two, it's just learning to listen to your body.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't feel hungry, then your body doesn't need food.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. I was done.
Talking about stopping when you're full, our favorite restaurant here is an all-you-can-eat sushi place. It's like, I don't know, 18 to 20 bucks, and you get to eat all you want. And I can't tell you how many times we left that place. Oh, they lost money on me, or I'm so full, I feel sick. And I remember one time leaving going, I'm so full, my back hurts. We don't need to eat to that extent.
No.
So that just goes back to the when you're comfortably full, stop eating. Stop eating.
Yeah.
It'll
And
go.
Sorry.
No, you go. You go.
No, I was just going to say you might also find it interesting when you start like skipping a meal, how much you don't miss that meal. Because like Lori was just saying, we eat out of habit.
Yes.
And you might think, oh my gosh, I can't eat again until dinner. But come lunchtime, if you listen to your body, you'll realize you're not even hungry, but that you've usually been doing it because, like when I was going into an office to work, it was a social thing to do, to go sit in the break room and eat lunch, or to go out to lunch somewhere, and sometimes we eat meals for those reasons, not because we're hungry.
Right.
And you can still do those social things, get a cup of coffee or get an iced tea or, something. But yeah, bottom line is just listen to your body.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a cat walking around my feet. It's Misty.
It's all right.
And a lot of times, okay, so this is going to be a two-parter. One, if you're skipping lunch or whatever meal it is you're skipping, you get hungry, chug a bottle of water or unsweet tea or something like that, and that'll help. And another thing is, hunger is not something that you're hungry and it just keeps going up and up and up to where you're starving.
Right.
You're going to get hungry, and do something that keeps you busy. Don't sit and watch TV when you're hungry like that, but go for a walk or get involved in something that gets your mind off of it, and you'll eventually go, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. So exactly. Back to what Krista was saying about your fasting muscle, things like that will make your fasting muscle super strong.
Yeah, I read something the other day that said the hunger it's Lori likes analogies.
I love analogies because I can understand them that way.
You can compare it to an emotion. So, an emotion doesn't last forever. So I get mad about something at work, but 10 minutes later, I'm over it because I've figured out how to get past it, right? It doesn't keep getting worse and worse. Well, hopefully it doesn't. But, you learn to control your emotions. You learn to work through them. And it's the same thing with when you get hungry. You aren't going to get increasingly more and more hungry until you're starving. It does pass, just like that moment of anger passes or whatever, You just have to wait it out. And getting your mind busy is extremely important to do that. Yeah. Which cat is that?
This one's Misty.
Hi, Misty.
She wanted up, and now all she wants is down. She's been hovering around my feet for a long time. So,
Cats are like that.
Cats are like that.